Hi, and welcome to Preview. My name is Guy Giampapa. Preview.
And I'm Don LaTulip.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cue Guy.
Hello and welcome to Preview. My name is Guy Giampapa. Don LaTulip is on assignment again this time, so I'm all alone, but we do have a guest and he'll be here in a few minutes. His name is Diego Arciniegas, and I'm sure if you're a regular theater goer, you know his name. He's done a lot of acting, directing, and he's even lectured. He's taught at Wellesley College, but more on that later. But first, right now, let's talk about theater. It was back in 1937 when playwright Thornton Wilder wrote his Pulitzer Prize drama called Our Town. Following a performance in Princeton, New Jersey in 1938, Our Town opened at Boston's Wilbur Theater. From there, it went on to Broadway, where it enjoyed a healthy run. Our friends at the Riverside Theater Works in Hyde Park have now produced their version of the play. It's been left intact with little scenery, no set, and minimal props, with the characters working in mime, just the way the author wrote it. The play is set in the fictional town of Grover's Corners, New Hampshire. William Bloomfield, as the stage manager, is the narrator, and he advances the story for us. Our town boasts a large cast, 20 in all. I was impressed with their performances. Much of the action took place within the aisles of the theater, and I was totally immersed in the story. This timeless drama has been adapted many times over the years. Orson Welles acted as the stage manager as well as Hal Holbrook. One musical version written specifically for live television had Frank Sinatra in the role of the stage manager. You may remember the song Love and Marriage. It came from this version. Riverside Theater Works' version of Our Town was directed by Jason E. Weber. Our Town is an American play produced by Riverside Theater Works in Hyde Park and worth seeing. Okay, it's time for our guest. Our guest today is a gentleman who is fairly well known in Boston. He's an actor, director, and a lecturer. And if you're a theater goer, you know this man. His name is Diego Arciniegas, and I want to welcome you to Walpole, Diego.
Thank you, Guy.
It's been 16 years since I've talked to you in person.
Oh my gosh.
It's a long time.
That's a long time.
At that time, you had just won the Elliot Norton Award.
Right.
That was in 1995, I believe.
That's correct.
You came out to Wrentham where I was doing a show.
That's right.
And we were so impressed that you said, sure, I'll come out and do it.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we thought maybe you'd be stuck up or something. But
Oh, no. I grew up in the South Shore. So I'm very comfortable in these parts of the suburbs.
Well, you have quite a resume. I mean, since the time I've known you in all those years, I mean, you've done everything. And I've been following your career most of the time. And I was so pleased when I found out that you were going to direct A Christmas Story in Watertown at the Arsenal, at the New Rip Theater at the Arsenal. Tell me about that.
Well, it's a co-production between New Repertory Theater and Arsenal Arts.
Okay. They merged together on this.
Well, they're not merged. They're they're cooperating together
Yeah.
on this particular show, which is great for the holidays. It'll light up the whole Arsenal Center for the Arts. And it's posing the interesting and exciting challenge of taking a movie and making it into a play. So the things that folks might not be aware of, sometimes in movies the story, parts of the dialogue happens in a car.
Right.
And they put it in the car just because they thought, oh, good location, it'll be fun, but it has nothing to do with the dialogue.
Right.
So the decision to put something in a car on stage is very different than doing it on film. So to a certain extent, there's a certain amount of reimagination of how this story unfolds on the stage as opposed to on film. And yet there are still those iconic moments, of course. Who can forget the lamp and and those other moments that, as you said before we were rolling camera, made you roll on the floor.
Right. Oh, it really did.
Yeah. We're hoping to recapture those moments.
How close to the movie is the story itself? Did you make any changes?
Well, in terms of the dialogue, I think it hews very, very closely to the film. It is an adaptation. It's more how the storytelling happens. Theater is, in essence, metaphorical in nature, whereas film is literal. So we have to find clever devices for having, the car scene, for example. How do you get a car on stage? Or going to Santa's palace at the department store. All these things have to move in real time. There's lots of moving parts. We have no second or third takes, no do-overs.
Right,
It
yeah.
all has to unfold sequentially in real time in front of a live audience. So that's what's exciting about it. It's always a little bit different every night. I'm sure it will be, and it involves the audience's imagination as well. We will be suggesting locations, and the audience fills in the details.
There are so many memorable scenes from the movie that I know you may not be able to create them all, but there are some that stand out in my mind. One, for instance, the one about the dogs coming in the house and eating the turkey.
Yes. Yes.
Can,
in
can
fact,
you create that?
Yes, the dogs
Really?
may not be literal dogs. We're not
Okay.
going to be training
But you're gonna
dogs to come
suggest it?
in because
Yeah.
we don't want to get in trouble with the MSPCA. No dogs will be harmed in this production.
Okay.
But like I said, theater's kind of metaphoric, so I don't want to give away what we're going to do.
Oh, okay.
You
I'll buy
should come
that.
see the show
Oh, I will.
and find out. But there will be dogs. They will steal the turkey, and hopefully it'll happen in a somewhat delightful fashion.
Now tell me about the people who are in this. First of all, the young fellow playing, I forget his name.
Andrew Sekela.
Andrew Sekela, yeah. Okay.
Yes. He is one of those prodigy wunderkinds. He fitting his schedule in for rehearsal has been an interesting challenge because he really is a Renaissance man. He dances ballet. He's of course following his high school curriculum or grammar school. What is that? Middle school? I'm
Middle
not
school
quite sure.
now, yeah.
I think
Grammar
it's
and middle was about the same.
middle school. But he's busier than I am. So just scheduling him has been an interesting challenge. But he's a total pro. And that is actually one of the interesting challenges of this. The leads in the show are not grown-ups. The leads are kids,
The kids,
but it's not a kid show.
Right, right.
The kids have to carry an awful lot of the dramatic weight in the story. And we actually found Andrew early. And when we found Andrew, I knew we could do this show. So.
Andrew is the father?
No, he's the young man.
That's right.
He's
that
the
was
young
his
man.
name. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is the father and the mother?
Owen Doyle and Stacy Fisher.
Okay.
And I'm going to crow a little bit about Stacy Fisher.
I
I
know
love
her
to
name.
embarrass her. She's a former student of mine.
Oh, really?
I taught Stacy at Emerson. I first met her when she was a sophomore in college. And she's actually worked for me on several occasions. And she's one of those delightful performers that I've seen make the transition here in Boston from student to working professional. She's gone from being my student to being a colleague of mine. I'm very, very proud of her. And Owen Doyle has worked with me a great deal as well at the Public Theater, among other venues. And he is someone whom I always rely upon when someone has a tough row to hoe.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, there's a lot of stylized swearing in
right.
the movie, but it is a family show,
Yeah.
so the stylized swearing is always sassafrasa, rasa, whatever. But it's technically very difficult to be speaking gibberish, but meaning things, very specific swears. You can figure out the swears by how they are not
Right.
said. So Owen's very much up to the task.
Much of the swearing is the father's role.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the dad in the story is not at home in his environment, particularly when it comes to electrical appliances or furnaces or anything automotive like the car. He needs to pick up a copy of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, but he's just not happy in his environment, and he's always trying to be the dad. This is obviously a period piece too.
Right.
It's 1940.
Yeah.
Dad reigns supreme, and dad is supposed to be able to handle anything so
He's the
that when
jack
the
of all
circuit
trades.
breakers, exactly,
Yeah.
and when the circuit breakers go, or when the car doesn't turn over and it's freezing out,
dad's
and
there to fix it.
Dad's trying anyway, and sometimes I think that mom might actually have been more competent if she had been allowed to do it. So that's kind of the dynamic between mom and dad in the show, which is a very recognizable one. As a matter of fact, I asked a lot of people about the movie. What was it about the movie that really excited them? And the answer that came back to me almost unanimously was, well, my childhood was like that. That was the Christmas that, Grandma knocked over the lamp, or, that Cousin Henry, knocked the turkey out the window and stuff like that. It's the chaos that makes the holiday.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the comedy in the story happens. They're all trying to have the best possible Christmas, and the worst possible things happen, but just like the Who's in Whoville, Christmas happens anyway.
It's funny you said that it reminds them of their Christmas when they were that young, because I went through that period in 1940. I was a child, And
we should have you as a consultant.
You're right. I can do great things. Tell me about the lamp.
The lamp. Well, maybe for your audience that has not seen the movie,
Okay.
the lamp, the base of the lamp is a high-heeled, fishnet-stockinged woman's leg
Yeah.
with a lampshade on it, which Dad has won through a write-in mail contest, and he thinks that this is high art.
Oh, yes.
And Mom knows a little bit better, and Dad wants to put that lamp in the bay window so that all the neighbors can see. And so it's one of the most excruciating, and I do mean excruciatingly, funny scenes, because Mom is trying to put the lamp where Dad's telling her, but not succeed. So it's a really funny and enjoyable scene.
That is the funniest piece in the entire movie. I mean, there are several bits that are very comical,
Right.
but just the idea of that type of lamp,
Right.
with a leg.
And it's so iconic to the movie that we have to get that right.
Oh, you have to, yeah.
We may find new solutions to how we go from scene to scene, but there's certain things that have to remain exactly the same, and that's one of them.
One of the great things about that story is the fact that there's dialogue that everybody remembers.
Yes.
About the Red Ryder rifle.
Right.
Yeah, you shoot your eye out.
Shoot
kid.
your eye out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about the Santa Claus segment? Is that included in there?
The
too?
Santa Claus segment is there too, and I don't know how many people in your audience have actually had to play Santa for the kids or whatever, but this Santa is a little bit, he's on the clock, and you can see behind the outfit that there is a certain amount of job frustration going on. Meanwhile, our young hero is trying to get the gift he wants, and failing miserably because he's all nervous about meeting Santa. And the minute his opportunity arrives, he's struck dumb by his awe of Santa. So at the same, it's operating on several levels. On the one hand, you've got the something that's more reminiscent of David Sedaris's Christmas stories, and then you have this child's wonder at meeting the big Kahuna Santa and blowing his opportunity to tell him what he wants.
Diego, how did you come about to secure this play? Was it thrown at you, or did you want to do it, or how did that come
Well,
about?
I've been working at New Rep. I was just thinking about this the other day. 1988 was the first time I ever did anything. I'm giving my age away too.
Wow.
And I've worked
That long ago. That was over Newton Center, wasn't it? at the
It
time?
happened to be at the time when they had just gotten into the church at Newton Highlands.
Oh, Newton Highlands it was, yeah.
They had just moved out of the dance studio where they had to take the sets down every night to allow the dance classes
God.
the following morning. So to see it now firmly ensconced at the Arsenal Center for the Arts and in the Charles Massessian Theater, it's really been great to see New Rep grow.
Isn't that a great facility?
Yeah.
It's so beautiful
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah. So I always look to collaborate with New Rep whenever I get an opportunity. It wasn't thrown at me per se. They asked me if I was interested. I said, heck yeah. Yeah, I love the holidays. And actually, this is a great opportunity for me to actually do a holiday show that is not a Christmas Carol. I have played almost, with the exception of Scrooge, I have played every male role in Christmas Carol. So
Have
this
you
is an
really?
interesting break.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is so different from the traditional Christmas stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it's a more inclusive story. I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a more civic story, and it's also a period piece.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot of the design development recently. In fact, I have a meeting tomorrow where we're going to finalize some of the design, and it's really wonderful to go back and look at images of Santa Claus from 1930, 1940.
Yeah.
He looks different than he does today. He's been, airbrushed. He's been changed, and so automatically, just those images start, pulling at your heartstrings, triggering thoughts and memories of a different time. So we're trying to get the period right, too.
How is it different today from those days, the appearance of Santa Claus?
Well, the color, the palette is very, very different. For example, our Santa Claus today, I'm going to call it Coca-Cola Red. His suit
Funny
is
you should say that, because that's exactly what I was thinking, Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola Red. But if you look at the pictures back then, there was a more orangey hue.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
he was
there
he was slightly more Father Christmassy. He had the little spectacles and the cherry.
Yeah,
and
and
of
the
course,
rosy cheeks.
They're pulling it from exactly. They're pulling it from, of course, the famous
wow.
poem or whatever. But he looks a little different. Yeah, and so the color palette
Yeah.
of it is not clear red. Let's call it fire engine red, so that we don't have to pay Coca-Cola any royalties.